And you go.
Julia is a widow, and Julia also has communication disabilities. People in our society can take advantage of the disabled, but in our courts they don't formally acknowledge them as disabilities and therefore give them accommodation. For example, damage to a disabled person can be done by a neighboring business, and they are in no way protected from the mandates of the government, law society, and human rights.
Go.
Any senior suffering, spitting up blood from black mold can be sent to the emergency room. But legal aid would not assist because she made $153 over their legal limit. However, it wouldn't have mattered because legal aid does not include help with civil suits or human rights issues. Without legal aid, Rosalind, Julia's daughter, who struggles with her own communication disabilities, became Julia's voice. At that point, Pro Bono Ontario was utilized by Rose, told by Pro Bono that small claims is a people's court issue. Rose utilized her university experience and persisted to find help in different places, such as the library or employment centers, anyone who offered writing skills, reading abilities, good communication skills, and who cared about the injustice of the situation.
Again, thank you to listening, and because law system didn't wanna they don't wanna hear my voice.
1, 2, 3.
The law system has no direction or procedure for lawyers to request accommodations for the different disabilities.
I asked for accommodations like at university, and they said no accommodations, only wheelchair accessibility, even though they had a form to sign for other disabilities.
Julia's journey is a first. It affects how judges and lawyers recognize or dismiss doctors' expert opinions.
Pro bono help would say Julia has no capacity, so they stopped helping us, and judges say has capacity, so they want to dismiss case.
Liaisons and interpreters are required, and training is necessary to deal with the nuances of different processing abilities.
They don't use the court liaison very efficiently because they don't know how the nuance of the disability is affected, so they don't use the liaison.
Pro bono, a team of lawyers, didn't know that there were no accommodations inside the courtroom for people with communication disabilities. Julia's case is setting a precedent for many to follow. The judge, even after receiving a 57-page document from experts outlining the accommodations necessary for Julia because of her communication disabilities, disregarded them. Then it is ordered that a lawyer be hired through the Attorney General because of the precedent being set, and because she knew that legal aid did not help in civil cases. The Attorney General's office said they couldn't help. It wasn't in their mandate.
3.
A doctor who specializes in communication disabilities and a representative with the Upper Canada Law Society were willing to explain to the lawyer how he could help Julia better in the court systems.
Tried to get a piece of paper to form to get us accommodation, and he said he disregarded. I talked to human rights, and he said human rights full of shit.
Justice is not just blind, but is also deaf. The judge deemed Julia to be normal, and therefore refused accommodations for her. The lawyer hired by Julia did not even fill in the accommodations form, but in fact threw it out. This lawyer is not willing to accept their disabilities and demand accommodations for his client.
He just rather want her to be normal, and he prepped her to say she was dumb. He said, just act dumb because essentially you are dumb, and because no education. But how do you, with a person with disability, know to be dumb in what situations when we have a 10-second delay in memory?
The concept of capacity is used for them and against them. The judge deemed them to have capacity and so denied any accommodation, this meaning communication and memory aid. He had the defense write the agreement to agree. When the document was read out, they did not read out the sentence that said they were agreeing that they had no disabilities. Rosaline's mother, of course, isn't able to read, so with the judge's pressure, she signed the document to appease him. The irony is that pro bono would no longer give help because they became aware that Julia's lack of capacity to understand questions and to respond appropriately. Many times they requested accommodations, but the response received was, "Why are you bringing up your need for accommodations now?" Instead, they are blamed for wasting the court's time. The judge invades their safe room under the guise of judicial immunity.
Human rights has jurisdiction outside courtrooms, so we were allowed a safe room to PTSD, to help with PTSD, and we were already in trauma, and judge entered our safe room and used our trauma and called duress to get us to agree to whatever he wanted, and making human rights, allowing us accommodations outside the courtroom, now zero. So now we zero have accommodations.
The shared values of our society of accepting our disabled into the court procedures, where the judges can't carry around a judge's immunity to disregard human rights, established accommodations outside the courtroom were ignored. As a result, the judge's immunity is granted more power than human rights. Advocacy for people with disabilities make for a better society, one that makes room for everyone.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and
because the law system
didn't
hear
my voice. Thank you.